Now I would like to speak about one of the topics which is widely misused by New Age people, the New Age spirituality. This is the topic of Kundalini, something which belongs to yoga, and practically this word Kundalini is always connected somehow to the Indian subcontinent, because the system which named so detailed way, in such a detailed way, the process of Kundalini awakening is yoga, the Indian yoga. So first of all, I would like to note that everyone, usually young New Age people, but old New Age people as well, everyone who wants to claim anything about Kundalini and doesn't have a profound experience and profound study of the Indian yoga, that person is not credible. Because similarly, like how can an Indian Hindu speak about, for example, the experience of Christian rosary praying or something. One must have the experience of the concrete lineage of the concrete spiritual tradition, and then one is entitled to speak about this. Now, when I started with yoga, my teacher told me, I was 16 years old, that the Kundalini experience is so rare that in thousands of people, maybe one is a genuine mystic who can experience this. What is the reason for this extreme rare Kundalini awakening? You can read a lot of low quality information on the internet these times about Kundalini. Keep to the old ancient scripts, books, which had been translated by highly professional translators like Arthur Avalon, Sir Woodruff. He writes about Kundalini and Indian yogic tantra a lot. And then there are very high quality texts from Swami Lakshmanju with very good English translations, and also the Tattvic system of yoga, which is called Tantra. So first of all, Tantras are not any Kama Sutra or sexual lineages. The Tantras in Tibetan Buddhism and India yoga as well are actually a teaching of the creation of the universe and the way we as created beings are able to return by the same steps by which the universe had been created in 36 tattvas. We are able to return by the same steps to the source, which is Nirvana, or the religions call him God. So because I am speaking here about Kundalini, it's needed to say that this topic is best elaborated by the Tantric Indian books, and these books had been kept in secret for many ages, and the funny things about these texts is that no one can actually really understand them. What happened to myself? I got some of these books because my yoga teacher had visited India and Britain, and those times these books had been not available in my communist country, and so already when I was 16, 17, I was reading these books, but not before I had my own inner experience could I understand them. So then when I reread the same books after half a year very intensive meditational row, then I understood them. But certain things about Kundalini one can understand even only after years, because it's a process. It's not a immediate understanding. Intellectually, we need a process of development to understand Kundalini. We can understand on a deep level because we have 4 minds, and one of these levels of minds is called buddhi, and it's slightly translated as intuition or intuitive mind. It's a mind which is not intellectual like the manas, but intuitive, so very deep in the deeper parts of our brain. By this mind we are able to perceive the Kundalini when we experience it, but due to the fact that we are not educated so much in the terminology, we cannot describe them many times to outsiders. So I was very lucky because somewhat my karma allowed me to get access to the ancient books, the traditional high quality writings about yoga and Kundalini already before and after and during the time when I was actually going through the stages described in yoga. So first of all, I would like to point out what Kundalini is not. Because there are many misunderstandings and fake gurus and fake teachers who are spreading fantasies about Kundalini which they had invented themselves. The reason is to fool people and get a big following. Some people are genuinely misinterpreting the Kundalini because they wish so much to have some higher experience, so they imagine things which do not belong to the area of Kundalini. This now is a worldwide phenomenon, and so first of all, because my life from 2007 and 8 until now had been highly influenced and negatively influenced by the guru called Ram Bahadur Bomjon in Nepal and his group, which is calling itself Bodhi Shravan Dharma Sangha. So first of all, I would like to mention the misinterpretations of Kundalini by this group, and but it's nothing specific for them. This actually I had experienced from many similar cults and fake gurus. I never can forget how the leader of the Sangha, her name is Andrea Good. I was a manager of this Google group dedicated to the Buddha boy as well. And I was shocked that reading that very apparently psychological experiences like seizure, I would call it, or drug-induced mental states, which were described in very long, confused letters by actually 2 members of our group. I cannot obviously tell who are there, but one was a South American person living in the jungle, and in my feeling, having experiences with the South American famous natural drugs, hallucinogens, and the other one was an Australian member, and he actually later even arrived to Nepal. So both of these people in different times were describing crazy things, simply said, and in the moment it looks crazy and it's mixed with a devotion to the Guru. It was good enough for the leader of the foreign Sangha called Andrea Good to define these experiences as awakened Kundalini. Because for her the devotion of these people to the Guru entitled them to call these experiences spiritual. Now, the human mind, the human psyche, it's a very, very deep thing, and psychologists, psychiatrists have a whole science about that. And there are so many experiences and also nerve problems, tremblings, and people hearing voices, and having hot flashes, which can be hormonal, can be sign of illness. People fainting, which can have many different reasons, physical, mental, and psychological signs which are happening to someone who is interested in any spiritual path, but not really doing any deep meditation, ascetic, and self-sacrificing path. Not all of these psychological and physical signs can be categorized as awakened Kundalini. This is a huge mistake. Actually, nowadays it is well spread, the misunderstanding that the awakened Kundalini can cause physical discomfort, feelings of really the psychological area like terror, fear, trembling, confusion, anything, visions which has no sense, and any such things are not caused by the awakened Kundalini. But there are many websites on the internet which will convince you that the awakened Kundalini can cause very strange fits and seizures and problems of the physical and mental form, because people who are experiencing them, they did start with some kind of spiritual practice, and so they put the two together. I have read many such websites, and I'm always amazed that no one ever checked out the real source of Kundalini, real source of information about Kundalini, which is in the old ancient Indian yogic texts, and written by gurus and their English-speaking disciples, translated by them. They don't refer to these writings. So, first of all, Kundalini is not awakening any psychological problems and any physical illness or problems. It's actually the exact opposite. It's bringing total health and total mental balance and stability and enlightenment. People don't understand, and the group of Rambam John waving with the Kundalini word here and there, and they don't understand that Kundalini is not a problem. This is actually the way to enlightenment, which solves the problem. not understanding what is Kundalini, people are creating a lot of misunderstanding about it, and that they have hysteria and fear and panic about all this. And of course they misuse it also for pride and to make authority and all these human mistakes, which are called kleshas in Buddhism. The sinful tendencies are very well like fed by the Kundalini topic, because this is also a topic which can be perfectly used to make one the authority above a group. So I don't know why Andrea Good became the authority of the Foreign Sangha of Rambomjon, and everyone who had, I was amazed, everyone who had some strange psychological or physical or mental problem asked her for advice, and her advice was always, you are awake, you are experiencing awakened Kundalini. And it was enough for them, because she is the group leader and she is one of the first devotees of Rambomjon from 2008. Okay, but Rambomjon never gave any instruction to her about Kundalini. It was all her own reading in New Age books. And Rambomjon never spoke about Kundalini, actually, in my experience. So let's go back to the truth about Kundalini, what it really is. When we start with the yoga or spiritual path, then we have still a lot of defilement which are stored in our chakras, actually. So these defilements, the main chakras are 7, but the real tantric scriptures describe much more chakras. People don't know about them. And symbolically, these chakras have petals, like the flowers of the lotus have petals, and different chakras have different petals with different defilements. Actually, these chakras are holding our defilements. They are stored in the chakras, and so there is a lot of things to burn down on the path of Kundalini. Obviously, in this video, as it was always the tradition, and it will be always the tradition of the inner path, I cannot speak about everything what is happening in Kundalini awakening. Certain things is not possible to speak about, and certain things are ethically not okay to speak about, and certain things are really secret. So that's why it's very difficult to get written or spoken information about Kundalini which you could use just like an instruction. Why? Because Kundalini is a spontaneous awakening, a spontaneous phenomenon. If you do not start the inner path with clearing up your moral background and your sinful tendencies consciously, then you don't find this very narrow way. This is the narrow way which Jesus describes. Although I don't consider myself Christian, but there are many good analogies in the Bible as well for Kundalini. This is a narrow path which you can touch only after you had made maximum, so greatest effort to purify yourself from negativity, from anger, hatred, to make self-control, to greed. Our big problem in this age is greed. Greed of food, greed of being loved, greed of having property. When we consciously start this path, it's parallel. My teacher described it like when we are starting this path here in this physical level, consciously and willingly, then it is like you have this cloth and higher beings are seeing someone is trying to get up through this level of the physical world. Someone is trying to get up. We have to help him. They see us like that from up, from the higher worlds, and in that case, when they see that we make the effort, also the grace is coming. But the grace, obviously, grace is here all the time. But the effort, our conscious effort to live morally and to be good simply, and not harm people, not attack people, not lie, purify ourselves. This effort is showing us it's a gate for the grace to come. So the two things must work together, our effort from down to up and the grace from up to down. None of the two will ever work alone. The two paths must meet. When will they meet? In case our effort is sincere, so not just playing some theater in front of us, and not just playing in front of others, obviously. And in case we are choosing the right path, the right connection to up, and not some fake guru, not some magician, not some negative guru, but we are choosing the highest God. Only the highest God can be the right path. Buddha and a guru which is transparent, which doesn't want himself to be worshipped, but showing the way only to the highest God. A real guru will never want you to worship him and bow in front of him, to the ground, etc. This is another topic. So in that case, when we start this effort from down, the grace is coming from up. In that only case, when we are totally sincere and totally give up practically everything for the search of the sense of living, the sense of life, the sense of existence. And if we go only 99%, the connection will never happen. We have to go 100% exactly. In that case, the Kundalini is awakening slowly, sometimes quickly, and burning down the kleshas, the stored sinful tendencies, and also the stored karma of the sinful deeds in the chakras. So by this burning down, what happens? If you have too many sins, if you have too many negativity in yourself, the fire will be big, because it's like firewood. If you have too much firewood, you make a big fire. If you have just a little firewood, the fire will be slight and you can warm up at it, and it will not destroy too much. So the experience is slightly different according to our karma, according to our source, according to the grace and the teacher. But in no case, in no way was ever the real awakening of Kundalini causing physical illness, madness, psychological problems, mental problems, social problems, never. Why? Because in this process, you already can start this process only when you are already pure enough to manage this process. The helpers from up, the grace, will not find a way in your consciousness until you purified this way from selfishness, anger, greed, desires, etc. The kleshas, the sinful tendencies. Only when you purify the way, the grace, which is awakening the Kundalini, can come down to you. So, what does it mean? When this already happens, you are already prepared for that. This is the thing. You are already understanding in your deep mind what's going on to you. You are not confused. What is this? What is this? You are not frightened like the Google group members of Andrea Good are describing confusion, frightening, what's going on, what will happen to me. You don't have this kind of fears and confusion, and you don't have ownership of the experience as well. You don't attach yourself to them. It's my Kundalini, it's my experience, because you are already freed from these kleshas. You are at the process of awakening, you are already freeing, burning these kleshas.